in my face. Hey, Mayor.
This is a regular meeting of the Wilson City Council. It is Tuesday, March 19th, and it is 7 p.m.
Thank you very much. So good. I will ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Goodman,
I'm here.
Council President Jones,
Here.
Vice President Cox,
Here.
Councilmember Martin,
Here.
Councilmember Bullock, he's absent.
It's going to be late.
It's going to be late, okay. Councilmember Hines,
Here.
City Manager Terry Bavard,
Here.
Attorney Kirsten Ballou, City Clerk Latricia Wright, I am here, and all other staff.
Thank you for attending. At this time, if you'll please stand for the opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance by the Mayor.
Join me if you will. Lord, we come to you tonight as a city trying to do the business of that city. And Lord, we ask you to give us the understanding of the issues to understand and to make the best decision that we can make individually and collectively. And Lord, I ask you tonight to be with our police officers and our fire department. And Lord, I'm going to give a special request that you be with all of the city staff that has worked so hard, especially the utility department, who has done a phenomenal job lately in all of the adversity they have faced. We ask this in your name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much.
Okay, item number 1 is additions, deletions, changes, or approval of the agenda. I know of no changes. Yes, sir.
I received a request from the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling to do a proclamation about Gambling Awareness Month for March. I would like to read it into the record during the announcements. I don't want to attempt to add it to the agenda at this late date.
Okay. I have no objection. Does anyone else have an objection?
Nope.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anything else? If not, I'll entertain a motion for approval of the agenda as written with that addition.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as written.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 2 is public participation. At this time, you have up to 5 minutes if you would like to address the council on any issue that is not currently on the agenda. Do we have anybody at this time? Mr. Penny. If you will, please state your name for the record.
I just letting y'all know y'all did an excellent job getting that word line. I mean, I've never seen it like that. I mean, it was pretty quick.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Applin.
Chaplain Applin, good evening. I would just like to remind you all about upcoming movie in the park in King 2. That will be on March the 30th, here at the Pavilion Heritage Park. It will start at 6 o'clock. Again, admission is free. Popcorn drinks will be provided. We just have to play Mother Nature in the weather as she comes. So bring your blanket chairs, families. It'll be our 4th annual movie night, and I'll reach out to different groups and for support. So hopefully everyone will come out.
What
and
time does
enjoy
it
the movie.
start?
It will start at 6. We will do activities for the children. And with
Okay.
daylight saving time, we're going to kind of play with that. We have a lot of exciting. We have a storytelling happening. A young author, illustrator author here in the community. He will be presenting his first book, and Miss Hazel will be reading it. So it's really exciting. So hopefully everyone will come out and enjoy the festivities until the movie starts.
Thank you.
We're dealing with
And
Thank
which
you for
park?
arranging that.
Hmm?
Which park?
it will be at Heritage Park this year.
Any questions for Ms. Applin? Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you. Anybody else?
If anyone online in the Ring Central meeting wishes to participate, unmute your mic, speak up now. Nothing heard.
Okay, then we'll move to the consent agenda, and it consists of the council meeting minutes of March the 5th. I did have one correction that I saw this afternoon that I did not notice earlier. It was just a sentence that stopped in the middle, and I know what needs to go there. Let me find the minutes. Oh, my. So sorry. In section 7A, where it says, President Jones asked about the house on, and it's Southeast First Avenue. It just stops. You must not have had the address, or I could have understood what I said. But that's what I asked about. That's the only correction I saw. For the record, Mr. Bullock has joined us. Any other comments on the minutes? And I'll entertain a motion for approval with that one change for the consent agenda.
I make a motion, we approve the consent agenda with the change.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
A second.
Have a motion and a second. Do I have any discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item number 4 is updates, and we will start at this time with the city manager, Terry Brevard.
Thank you, Madam President. So just to give you kind of quick update on a couple of things we've got going on at the staff level. So there's currently still no changes yet to the South Main with FDOT. So they're still working on what their proposal is going to look like for that. So hopefully I'll have something back to you at the next council meeting as to what they're proposing to do. To give you an update on the bank line of credit, so what we're looking at is that it's Seacoast legal side has it. I've been informed that we should be able to make the first meeting in April to bring it before the council. So obviously it'll need to go to our legal and then back to the council for y'all.
Did their legal not write it to begin
No, I don't know.
with? Okay.
So
That just seems kind of
it's-
strange.
it's in their legal review is what they said.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that's with Mr. Fugit's office. So
They are drafting the original document. It's
I
still
thought
being
they did.
drafted.
Okay. Strange.
So with that, basically, like I said, the bank knows that I'm targeting April the 2nd as my date, and so they're aware of that, and I expect them to make that mark. So hopefully they will. The golf carts, so just give you a little update on that. We're now in the southeast section of town. It's not, although not completed, it's ongoing. So I would imagine we will have that completed by before the next agenda meeting or council meeting. So we'll have that done, and we'll finally be able to move on to the northwest. So, and then as far as the pawn shop goes, and I don't think Jonathan has any more to add other than I can add that we're still in discussions with them and are waiting to hear back. And he reached out for them just the other day. I will tell you that myself and Mr. Barber are working on the draft for a performance contract for energy savings. That we will bring back in front of the council, and of course that's where, you know, somebody would come in and under the Florida State statute and show us where we could save us money. There's no commitment to putting out the RFQ other than the cost of doing it. Hopefully we'll get several companies that may come in and present a good program, and then we may make a selection, or the council may make a selection from that group to move forward with that plan. If you recall, that's the one where they go through the Florida State statute, or we may simply decide not to do anything. So I'm working on that draft, and we should have that done. I don't think it'll be April, but it'll be close to that. So, and that's all I have, Madam President.
Thank you. We'll move to the staff. Any staff members have announcements, or not announcements, but updates at this time? Chief Rolls.
I just have one. In the last council meeting, we talked about the USDA loan being at 35%. Met with the USDA representative. She came back, sent me an email, and said the city was only approved for 15% of the USDA loan process. That hurts. We've had USDA for a long time at 75%, and it went to 35, and now it's down to 15. So we need to get. I've talked to Stephen, spoke with Stephen. I'll bring it before the council, and we can figure out what we need to do to address the problem.
And it's all due to the increase in population. Is that correct?
Yes. They the way they calculate it is one of the examples she gave me is you have a lot of people that live in Williston but work somewhere else where their home income is a lot higher than what Williston was,
Than
and
the rest of Williston.
Yep,
Yeah.
that affects the USDA process.
So it's based on income.
Income and the census.
Census,
Population.
income, and population.
Mhm.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Any other staff member? I know, Mr. Stiegel, you've poured some concrete.
Yes, ma'am. I can give a quick update on the terminal project. It'll be quick. So yes, ma'am. We did pour some concrete. All the floors are now down, and they've actually started to stand up the studs for the walls inside.
Cool.
The next section that we should see progress on, aside from the interior continuing on, is the glass is going to be delivered in the next week or so. So all the exterior glass is going to be put on, and it's moving right along. You can actually walk through the building now and see where the offices are going to be. So it's pretty neat. It's exciting. So if anybody wants to come out and take a look at it, after 4:30, 5 o'clock when all the workers knock off, I'll walk through it.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Stiegel? Okay. Any other staff members? Mr. Bishop.
Just want to remind everybody, in hopefully 3 to 4 weeks, 6 tops, that John Henry will be closed permanently until the duration of the John Henry project.
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Do what? No, it'll be permanently closed until the project's over with. That's temporary. It's a play on words. You're right. It's a play. It's a play on words. But either way, it'll be closed until the duration of the project.
Okay, for John Henry. Okay. Good ceremony this morning. Okay. Anything else from staff members? I didn't see any other hands back there. Okay, council members, any updates needed?
No update, but a couple questions. I also want to thank staff for the job that you guys do when issues happen, such as our water mains getting broken and you have to come in and repair. Quick question, and this is just for my knowledge. And if you can answer now, that's fine. If you can't, you can get back with me at the next meeting or outside. Is there reimbursement for our staff when water mains are broken and it's not due to anything that we've done, but is there reimbursement for our staff having to come in and getting overtime, or is that solely on us just because that's what we do? And how does the break in the water main affect the citizens other than just the water loss and boil water notices?
So I could do a portion of that. So as far as reimbursement goes, let's say like if we could lay blame somewhere. In other words, if this pipe, if they have not called their 811s or they had not properly identified, or been digging in the wrong spot and basically hit this thing where we'd marked the line, then yeah, we would go after reimbursement and do. In this particular case, this water main was unmarked. There was no marking line, piece of lead, copper wire that normally goes with it. It helps you identify it, how it got there, who put it there, when it was put there. Sometimes it's just a mystery. And in this particular case, there really is no blame on us or the person that was doing the work on the site because nobody knew it was there. Even if we went to we even discussed this, even if we went to the point of purchasing a ground penetrating radar would help us find these things where we don't know where they're at. If you don't know to go look there, then really you're not going to find it. So they're not cheap. They're $45,000 plus the training of person to operate it. In this particular case, you really just can't point your finger at anybody other than the person originally put the pipe down there that didn't put a tracer wire with it. Because it's all plastic and water, and the wands find metal, and things like that. So, and then the second part of the question?
How does this affect citizens related to their bill, if at all?
Okay.
So there's no effect on the bill. The biggest issue for the city would be water loss. We have to track that very carefully because we have a consumptive use permit, what we call our CUP permit, that requires us to report daily and yearly usage of water, what we pump out of the wells. It's one of the reasons why the last two major breaks, we've shut the wells down. It has been the habit and practice of this town for 30, 40 years that we're going to just fight through it as a live leak. And although it's more inconvenient to have boil water notice or precautionary boil water notice, and I want to make sure we say that, we get lazy and call it a boil water notice. It is a precautionary boil water notice. It is for safety. You get it to a rolling boil. The moment it boils, nothing possibly could be contaminated in it. But it doesn't mean that the water's bad. And so we've shut it down. The repair this time was from the start of finding it to shutting it down was 2.5 hours. The way we used to do things, that would have been a 12 to 15 hour repair fighting the live water. So yes, we had more boil water notices out, but I think that we saved a lot of water. We were more into conservation for the water. Their bill is not affected. There are some people that are making complaints that after the water came back on, that there was damage to their systems. That's not the case from the leak either, because we have butterfly valves, which are different than gate valves at the well sites. And these butterfly valves are designed to throttle water. So we do like a 1 foot-pound per minute flow. It took us 3.5 hours almost to refill all the pipes because we don't just turn the water on and see how hard it can push through the system. So we do it slowly, and it took longer to actually get the water to fill the pipes back up than it did for the actual repair. But other than the inconvenience, the citizens weren't really in any way financially obligated any further.
Okay, thank you.
I've also had the same question, so that's a great question. They've asked me as well.
Yes.
Any other council member have any updates that they need?
Other than the guys and ladies did a really good job Saturday.
Absolutely did.
And the ones who were going out door to door, they were getting it.
Yeah.
Getting around, dropping them off at people's doors, ringing doorbells, and everything. So it's good to see.
They did do a great job. They really did. I actually went and watched for a while. I just stood in the Hardee's parking lot and watched them. The district manager of Hardee's came down. I think his employees must have called him. And his main concern that he asked me about, I was just this person standing there, was will they have it fixed by the time we close? And I said, looks to me like they will, because you already had the patch out there by then. And Alex was getting ready to put it in, and the guys were getting ready to put it in. So I think you did a great job. Absolutely. And it was a lot of water. That pumper thing you've got that pumps the water out, that is a lifesaver. Because even though you turned it off, it was still coming out of there like crazy. Yeah. And like Joby said, it was going down that hill, but it was going to the right place this time, and it didn't flood anybody's house. So that's a good thing. Anybody else have questions for updates? All right. Then we'll move on then to item number 5, which is new business.
If I may.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor.
That's quite all right.
What you got?
There is an organization called the Children's Table that does a lot of good in the community and focuses on children. And on the 21st at Two Hawk Hammock, they're having a groundbreaking ceremony for a farm that they're going to try to get as many family people, children out there so that the children can learn about growing their food and understanding where the food comes from. And there is an open invitation Thursday, March 21st, 2024. That's just a few days away. It's been up on my door for some time. Don't know if anyone else in the city was aware of it or had posted it. And it is, thank you, it is at 11 o'clock in the morning. And it's scheduled to be over by 1. That's all. Thank you.
And it has been all over Facebook. And the chamber sent it out, too. So, yes, sir, they should know about it. Anybody else have updates that they need? All right, we'll move then to new business. Item number A is discussion with possible action, creating and filling a shelter management position for the Williston Community Animal Rescue. Ms. Jones.
Good evening, Council.
Hey.
The city opened the Williston Community Animal Rescue in April 2023. Since then, we've sheltered over 40 homeless, lost, and sick animals. During the review of the 2024 budget, the shelter director, that's me, agreed to give up a shelter manager position to assist the police department with their budget. It was known that the shelter was necessary, but the amount of animals that we've welcomed is far more than we expected by this time of the year. Between phone calls, social media, animal care, invoicing, handling the budget, stocking and traveling to vet appointments, the part-time position is no longer adequate. We are requesting adding a shelter manager position to work with the animal control officer and remain under the community development team. Next budget, we'll ask for part-time help, as we've been pretty successful right now with our volunteer program and believe that this will only grow. So we're asking for that position to be reinstated, for me to get another part-time or maybe 2 more part-time people. It doesn't make any sense. It would be better for the people that we have working to just add more hours and keep doing what they're doing. There is a little bit of a fiscal impact. Stephen sent us an email, and I was just looking for it. I don't think I brought it with, but it was about $2,400.
$4,727.
Something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be adding, this position would be added to benefits.
Right.
Full time, yeah.
And Mr. Bloom is online with us.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, questions for Ms. Jones or Mr. Bloom? Okay, so you want to convert 2 part-time into a full-time.
Yes, ma'am.
And it will only be $4,727 more because that's the benefits, essentially.
Yeah, and that's a year, and we're halfway through now, so
Right.
that's probably where I got the
That's
$2,300 in my
Yeah.
head.
Because that's probably just the payroll. The
Yeah,
rest
when
of
you
it.
add when you add the hours for both part-time positions, that's the actual cost is $4,727 more. Once you figure in the benefits and everything that goes with it, and I just want to be clear that what Laura's asking for also is that although we will zero out those hours and times for those 2 positions that are part-time, we're not looking to do away with them. We're hoping to be able to staff those and bring those back in October. Because we still need the part-time people out there during the weekends and things like that to take care of the dogs. If it's in the budget, then that's great next year. Then absolutely we want to staff them. If it's not, then, we'll figure it out like we always do.
Okay, questions? Comments?
So essentially, you're not combining two part-time, you're making a whole nother position.
No. Well,
No.
Yes and no. So the
Not for the end
answer
of
is
the
we're
year.
taking the 2 part-time and taking their money that's allotted for them and putting back in the full-time manager's position. Yes. So the full-time shelter manager's position was cut out of the budget last year. It was staffed in order to lower the impact on the general budget. So originally that building was supposed to be staffed with a full-time manager, plus 2 part-time staff members, plus the animal control officer. That was the original staffing model for that. Then, like Laura said, last year during the budget cycle, to ease the pain on the general budget, we cut that one out completely and thought we could go with just the 2 part-time positions. Unfortunately, it's problematic at this point in trying to do that.
So do we currently have 2 people in those 2 part-time positions, or just one person and one is open?
Yeah, just
Okay.
one. Just one is open. So we'll roll all that money, all those hours together, and come up with one full-time position. So now my goal is, and my request is that those 2 positions remain on the staffing plan, although we zero out the hours, and that way we have the position still there, and we'll readdress it coming up in next year's budget. I don't know that we can get 2 part-times for next year, and maybe we'll just have to settle for 1. But that's the goal. And there's no expectation, just so y'all understand, by zeroing it out, leaving them there is merely a placeholder, and it just makes us feel better.
Right.
There is no expectation that those positions will be fully funded or even partially funded next year by the city council based on what the budget looks like. So we go into this understanding that.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Ms. Jones, do you have somebody in mind?
We're going to go ahead and ask for an internal interview process like everywhere else. And then if we don't have any applicants, then we would go ahead and go outside. But yes, we do have some people in mind.
I know the young lady who's there now is doing a great job.
Yes, ma'am.
I've actually been out there a couple of times.
I second that because while Laura was taking me around and showing me everything with the animal shelter, she was going about her business, this young lady here, and taking care of things and not having to have somebody stand over and say, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that.
I agree. When I was out there with Dawn the other day, she was doing a great job. She was hosting people who were looking at the cat, who were talking to the cats and visiting with the dogs, just going about her business, doing what needed to be done.
It's rare to find somebody who's good with dogs and cats and people.
Yes, exactly. That's very true. Hey, I hadn't thought about that.
So you need to keep people like that.
Yeah.
I have a question. If you go to just a full-time position, will that put a strain on that person for weekends? And that's just an understanding of how it's going to be until we can sort it out.
Yes, ma'am. The job right now is very difficult. We're very lucky that we have some volunteers. We have some staff that have a regular volunteer schedule and some people around the airport that have been volunteering for us. So it's a difficult job with just one person, no matter what. But we're just trying to work through this first year and figure out where our budget's going to be next year. I don't want to ask for too much.
So are the hours going to remain the same, or are the hours going to increase?
They would increase for full-time, would be 40 hours.
I would entertain a motion. Yes, sir.
I didn't want to butt in. Laura, you currently have people that are volunteering at the shelter?
Yes, sir, like myself. Yeah.
Thank
And
you
then
for
we have-
that clarification.
We have another staff member that volunteers every weekend, and then we have 1 or 2 people that come on a regular basis.
Okay, has there been any consideration, or are you and the city manager against trying to relieve some of the pressure by instituting a program for volunteers to qualify and maybe help out at that shelter?
We would love to have a structured volunteer program, and I do have it written.
Good.
But I have not been able to, I just haven't had the time to implement
I
it.
understand.
And
But you've thought about it.
But we do have flyers right here that BJ's put together for us.
And it's been all over. It's
Nikki
been all
did
over
them.
Facebook the last 2 weeks or so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen it on Facebook where they're advertising for volunteers as well.
That's wonderful. I just wanted to, I try to stay off Facebook as much as possible. But I just wanted to know that you had, in fact, been considering that.
Yeah,
And
it's hard
very
to have
hard.
volunteers when you're not really like, your feet are still a little wobbly because you just got started, but luckily we have relationships with some other rescues too that are helping us and giving us their volunteers and some of their advice, so.
Thank
we'll
you
get
very
there.
much.
Is that one of the things that, what is your name?
Not anymore.
Mandy. Okay. So I always saying young lady. Is that one of the things, Mandy? Mandy is the person, right? Is that one of the things that she'll be helping you get established?
Yes, she's already doing that.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Are we entertaining a motion? To combine the 2 part-time positions into 1 full-time position with an increase of 40 hours a week, $4,727 added to the budget.
Would this just be a consensus? I mean, there's no resolution.
This is discussion with possible action. So
Okay.
I wanted to know that I could write the resolution.
All right. So consensus to write a resolution and bring it back.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. That will work. All right.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We'll move on then to item B, discussion with possible action renaming the Williston Community Animal Shelter. Ms. Jones.
Thank you, sir.
I will just say if you move to page,
It does say animal rescue on my
I'm just saying if you move to page 17 of your agenda, you will get the possible suggestions they have given.
So this is just a suggestion. We've had, the word rescue means different things to different people. And we've had a lot of people upset with us because we say we're not a rescue, right? We are an animal shelter to find homeless animals in the vicinity of Williston. And we have a lot of people from out of our area that get quite upset with us when we tell them that we cannot rescue their animal because we are not a rescue. And then they say, well, it's literally in your name. And I say, you're absolutely right, it is. So we thought if this was going to be changed at some point, perhaps change it now as we haven't made too many things. And we do have 2 signs being donated right now. And I didn't want to have those signs donated and then maybe next year this became an issue again. So if the Williston Animal Rescue is okay with you guys, that's fine with us, but it is giving us a little bit of grief. And this is really good news, but the University of Florida is now giving us a lot of free veterinary care, and I mean free. But they had me write a letter because they didn't understand how I could be a municipal shelter but be called a rescue. So they've never seen that before either. They're just kind of 2 different things. So I just put some things up here that other people, these are ones that other municipalities use. You could say Williston Animal Shelter or Animal Shelter of Williston. So that's what I put at the bottom. Williston Humane Society, Williston Animal Services, Williston SPCA. Those are all things that are available. We don't think that we can use Williston Community Animal Shelter because that's being used already by not-for-profit. We don't want to get
I don't think you could use the SPCA either.
Yes, ma'am, we can.
I don't know how. The ASPCA is unless you're a division of them, I don't know how you could do it.
No, they're not divisions of them. They just use those things because people recognize the SPCA as a animal shelter.
I definitely would want to have nothing to do with the ASPCA, so I would not want that. I would not
That's
want
fine.
that in my name.
That's fine.
That's my
So
comment.
can you tell us,
Simple, sorry. Williston Animal Shelter sounds simple enough to me.
Yeah.
and can you tell us the difference between the rescue and the animal shelter so that for those who are not aware?
Yes, ma'am. An animal shelter is typically a municipal run organization that is funded by citizens and taxpayers. They do get some grants and they do get some monies from, donations, but for the most part it's funded by the city or the municipality. A rescue is completely private. A rescue is typically not-for-profit with a board that is solely funded off of grants and donations and doesn't get money from the government.
Thank you.
And the Williston Animal Shelter is the one that's already exists?
No, Williston Community Animal Shelter exists.
Okay.
Remember, that's the people who
Yes.
built the building, and that they're staying together. So they still exist.
So are you saying we need to not use that one because of that?
I think it would be confusing. I mean, I don't know, Terry. What do you think?
We're saying we're not going to use Williston Community Animal Shelter.
Oh yeah, I know
But we
we're
could
not.
use Williston Animal Shelter.
Williston Animal Shelter would be fine.
Well, of the ones that are up there, I like Williston Animal Shelter and Williston Animal Services. I'm okay with either one of those. Anybody else have a preference?
It is a shelter, correct?
Yes, sir.
Williston Animal Shelter.
Okay. Am I okay with that? All right, so you have consensus to come back with a resolution on that.
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. All right. Item C is Resolution 2024-35, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, establishing authorization for the City of Williston to approve the purchase of municipal park fitness course equipment and not to exceed $15,000, and providing an effective date. Mr. Barber, this is on page 18 to 33 of your packet.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. April 6th coming up, the mayor and staff will be hosting an effort to repair and update our city park known as Peggy O'Neill Basham Park. It's a beautiful park. It's a walking nature park. It has great potential. And as part of our updated park master plan through the comprehensive plan coming up this year, we want to slate that park to not only be a nature park, but also to have an exercise element to it. So we have proposed here, if council members, they were insistent previous years, and this year was the first year it got funded, to put about $1,000 away for the 7 city parks. It's not really practical to only spend $1,000 per park, so we're trying to pool that money and pick a park each year. This year we picked Peggy O'Neill, and we would like to, through our normal already itemized budget lines and from that additional $7,000, get council's permission to buy this equipment. It's all approved park equipment for municipalities. It's a package that we priced out. We got multiple quotes that you will see. The one we're proposing there, I believe, is just under $13,000. And these would be spread out through the park once the park paths were fixed and the benches were fixed. And basically you'd walk through there. There's no mechanics to this. It's all basically based on your own free weight and energy. And we really think that with the neighborhoods over there and the nature of the park, that would just be a great thing that people would really enjoy. A good example of this, if you're familiar with Ocala, is the Jervey Gant Park. It's one of Ocala's premier parks off of 36 and 464. Jervey Gant has this equipment throughout it, and people just absolutely love it. They use it all over the place. There's ways to do sit-ups, treadmills, ellipticals, stationary bikes, chest, repetitional exercise, so all kinds of great things. And if you look at some of the prices, we think that the one quote that we got from a company that gave us a large discount basically wiped out any kind of shipping, freight charges, and all that. We thought would be the best route to go. There's also one of these in Inglis behind the ballpark. They have a package similar to that as well. So those are the 3 quotes. This is the project we'd like to do with that money that was designated, and so that's the presentation.
Is there maintenance required on these as they age that's doable by city workers?
Yes, ma'am. It's really good materials. It's mostly metal. There are very few plastic components, and they're composite. And other than a little bit of painting once every so many years, this stuff gets a concrete pad gets anchored down. It gets bolted down. And, I mean, other than just someone deliberately trying to destroy something, which is a danger of any park, other than that, it has really good normal wear and tear.
Thank you.
When it's done, would we do some kind of what do we want to call it? Not a send off because we're sending it away, but a ribbon cutting and having, make it a big deal to get people to come out so they would know.
Yes, sir. We're inviting, of course, the community and the press to the April 6th. That's the initial getting the park ready, getting, some footers put in for these things, getting the bushes trimmed back, getting the trees cropped, getting the paths redone, getting the new sign posted at Peggy O'Neill. And then once all those updates are done, the pavilions are repainted, the benches are redone. This would be that second step when it comes in. It could come in around June, and then we would have another event for the council to kind of show off one of the parks that we've redone. And this would complete one entire revitalization of one of the 7 parks.
I have comments that go back as far as the cleanup process on April 6th. The walking paths that are in there are in horrible shape. They need to be leveled. They need a lot of clay put back down on them. I don't even know if you buy clay. Could you buy clay?
Yes, ma'am.
I assume you can. It needs to be, I don't know that we've done it. We've repacked clay since we built the thing.
That's what April 6th is for, yes, ma'am.
So you're going to have clay then to
Yes,
put
ma'am.
down? Okay. There are also broken light fixtures. So you're going to be working on those between
The
now and
pavilions
then?
repainted, sanded, repairs to the benches, things that are destroyed, pulled out. April 6th is basically preparing us to where before we bring in this type of equipment, the park would look the way it's supposed
I
to
don't
look.
know how we'll get all that done on April 6th.
Well, I mean, staff's going to be working afterwards, but the April 6th is for the community to come and join us on a Saturday.
Okay, because it's going to need bucket trucks to get
Yes.
to those lights. Those lights are high. I guess a couple of other comments. Peggy O'Neill. O'Neill has 2 L's on the end.
Yes.
If you look up Mr. Bill O'Neill, he was a senator here in the state of Florida, and his name is spelled with 2 L's. So everywhere we've got it spelled with 1 L, it should be 2. I don't know what
Okay.
you've got on your sign. I hope your sign's not made.
The sign is a duplicate of the sign that came out, so it's probably a typo on my part just on the piece of
Okay,
paper.
so it should have 2 L's in O'Neill. I mean, I sat next to him for years. He was our city attorney as well. And he bought that property and when his daughter died and donated it in her name and built it himself and dedicated it to us. It was his property. And he does have 2 L's on the end of his name. The other thing I would say, I'm not against the exercise equipment. I think you're planning to intersperse it?
Correct.
Not
So
put it all on
as
one
part
path
of the
like
park
that.
you would walk, you'd come across one of
Okay.
the machines. You'd go so much further, you'd come across another machine. It would follow the path.
All right, it's not on one single pad like
No,
this.
ma'am.
That's great. I would prefer it interspersed, because it's beautiful, and I'd hate to detract from it because of that. But it definitely needs a lot of upkeep before we can put that in there. And the money's coming from where?
So 7,000 would come from the line item that you guys did for the park fund this year, and then the rest would come through our normal streets and parks, materials and supplies. And Stephen, I think, is on the line. He can vouch that we have the funds within the fund if that's what's required.
So the 7,000 has already been allocated. is
Well,
what
if
you're
you
saying.
choose to allocate it for this, it would be allocated. We haven't used it to this point.
So, but it's there.
Yes, ma'am. It's a line item in our budget. Yes, ma'am.
So other than the 7,000, our utility department is going to,
It would not be our utility department. It would be our streets and parks budget.
Streets and Parks is going to take care of everything else
Yes, ma'am.
out of their budget.
Yes, ma'am. No additional added cost to the
And
budget.
then, as
currently.
Ms. Martin said, regular upkeep needs to be done.
So they're magnesium joints inside. I mean, they're really meant to last a long time. This equipment's 20, 25-year equipment, other than just basically recoating of paint. The metal, it's galvanized. I mean, it's some parts of it are aluminum. It's heavy duty. It's commercial grade. It's meant to last a considerable amount of time. And these are things that are from companies. The quotes are from companies that FMIT, our insurance trust, actually allow to be park equipment. So these are certified park pieces of equipment.
That's good.
These are the same kind of exercise equipment that they use in parks. Like Gainesville just redid the one park there, 34th and 8th. So that's, these designed to last quite a while.
So, no question. So I know you say that this will last a long time, but is there a plan that you have in place or that you're going to put into place so that money's been put aside so that when that time comes to do maintenance or repair, the money is there, we're not looking for it?
Well, that would be a part of the capital improvement plan, and I think that's a wonderful idea, but as of late, even with the rate increases, capital was never really covered in those. It's more of operating, so I don't know how to answer. I mean, we would love to have money over the next 20 years to be set aside to maintain parks, but I mean, that's what you're talking about is a capital improvement fund, and that would obviously have to be worked into the budget.
Should be maintenance instead of capital improvement.
Well, I think what I'm hearing is it's growing the maintenance budget, if that's what I'm hearing, correct? Is that what you're referencing? The increase to the maintenance budget. So if we need to put some in for the following year and set some aside as a sinking fund or rolling fund, we could do that. But I mean, this isn't going to be a yearly maintenance. This is powder coated. I mean, it's heavy duty commercial grade equipment.
Well, I can tell you I have another request for a different park that I'll bring up later under announcements that I'll make you aware of that neighborhoods asked me for. So we're going to spend the whole budget for this, plus we'll have to wait for another year to even address that part.
We'll also keep in mind, too, with the development right around the corner, there's also revitalization of the tennis courts, which are also becoming part of pickleball courts. So it was kind of getting that whole area of town kind of fixed before we move on to another part of town. That was kind of wrapping up that section.
That's actually what I have on my list.
But that's being taken care of.
I had, not to our knowledge, it's not. I would like to have known that.
May I?
Sure.
So, as community development, parks are extremely core to the city, and they're very important to us. And we know that they haven't really had the best budget in the past few years, but you guys have been very generous, and you've helped us a lot with our parks. One of the ideas that Donald came up with and that we would like to proceed with, but we're, just haven't gotten to ask you yet, we will, is we have this amazing organization called Friends of Cornelius Williams. And when I grew up, I was part of an organization that was Friends of a Park near my house. And I have talked to Miss Brannon about starting another not-for-profit that would be Friends of Williston Parks. And those types of maintenance things, cleanups, maintenance, those are all covered by them. So we need to get that group together. We've been remiss because we've been very busy, but it is something we're very interested in doing. And we have a lot of people who would like to join. So this takes some of the onus off of the city residents' budget because the people donate a lot. We get businesses to donate, and we would go every month and clean up like 4 miles of beaches. We'd have hundreds of people every Saturday. So I know that this can work. And it was Donald's idea in the beginning. So this is something that will relieve some of your budget issues in the future. I promise I will bring it to you sometime in 2024 when I have this other list worked on, because these are all the things that I need to do. But that'll help a lot, because they will donate. They will donate their time and their money.
And I understand you as far as the cleanup and things of that nature, but when you talk about maintenance and repair of equipment, that may be something totally different.
Yeah, they donate. I mean, they'll
need to at least start look at and start at least talk about a plan.
Well,
for the future.
Yeah, the organization I was in, we built the stairs. We donated the doggy bag holders. We refilled them. We really took care of that beach, and the purpose of it was because we wanted to keep it a dog beach. So this was not a not-for-profit. That was no big deal. It was a huge was a huge organization, and we have 98 homes going in next door. So people have been talking about our parks. We're trying really hard, but we do want to take some of the pressure off the citizens for, renovating a park that's 2 miles away from their house. I understand that. So we're getting there, and grants, of course. But yeah, for next year, I don't know if we'll have any resolutions yet for that budget.
Okay. Any other questions regarding the exercise equipment and Peggy O'Neill?
We've been talking about upkeep and all that. I mean, the lights in all the parks, the paths, the trails.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, I'm not saying we're not doing a good job, but if some of these are getting behind and we're adding more to our list to upkeep, that's something we got to keep on our mind. We definitely need to make sure that there's some kind of a yearly thing on the lights and the paint the benches, making sure they're not rotten and stable, and just everything involved before we add more to our plate is the one thing that
we need like a monthly checklist for every park. Make sure somebody looks at it, repairs it, so that we don't have it all at one time to do.
That's going to be addressed in the budget this year. Coming up, you guys are going to hear how we plan on doing that successfully. So we'll have something to present to council on that specifically.
It ought to be in the everyday tasks that they do.
Well, I understand that, but
I know they're opening doors and they're mowing grass.
Well, that's part of the
that.
issue, Madam President. I mean, you have streets and parks, which does your roads, which does your facilities, which does your parks. I mean, they're literally doing 15 different types of work. And the proposal we'll bring to you at the next budget is to separate and define those departments more specifically and have people dedicated specifically to parks, because it is a full-time job. If you talk about 7 campuses, which is what we have, and then we take care of 2 other campuses that we are a part of but that we don't own, it takes a lot of dedicated effort. And so in order to have a maintenance program of that nature, you have to have people dedicated to that task. And that's one of the things we'll be proposing in the upcoming budget.
And I think we probably should
Just saying, I don't want to wait till October.
that same concept prior to purchasing equipment, and we don't actually have a Friends of at this point, but we're hoping to.
Yeah, only one right now.
That would be my suggestion.
Where are we going? Make a motion. 2024-35.
I make a motion.
Resolution.
I make a motion that resolution 2024-35 be approved.
I second.
I have a motion and second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
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 All opposed?
Aye.
For the record, let the vote show as 4-1 approved. Okay. We will move then to item D, which is resolution 2024-36, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, establishing authorization for the City of Williston to approve purchase and installation of essential electrical panel upgrades at the Barn Well, authorizing appropriate parties to execute all relevant documents and providing an effective date. Mr. Barber.
October of 2022, Utilities Department got approved ARPA funds to be utilized for the rehabilitation of the Barn Well from Council. This is a complete rebuild. As a matter of fact, right now, Barn Well is not online. It hasn't been online for about 20 days.
And that would be the one behind the police station?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, just making sure.
Behind the police and fire, yes, ma'am. Okay. The condition of the building and the electrical transformers and the state of the panels once we took the roof off and once we started gutting the structure were far worse and in deterioration than we could have imagined. We believed that at the time when all the people quoted and came in, the experts, they said, yeah, I think we can reutilize as much as possible. We always try and save. What can we reuse? All the electrical is bad. They're dating it from sometime around the 50s on some of the panels. And so what we came across is some of them saying they don't even want to hook up to it. So we've moved the pole. You guys approved additional funding again this past year in January, which was for a new transformer. And now we're looking at the quotes that you're going to see, which would be a change to the original price of $7,500 from Hydro Service to $46,838.02. And the reason why we didn't obviously put this out for any kind of higher bid is because this is an emergency. I mean, we can't have this well off for very long. We already have lower pressures in certain parts of town, and we're in the middle of this project. So we're asking council to, we had about $81,000 originally at the beginning of this budget cycle left of ARPA funds. We're asking to use $46,838, not to exceed $50,000 of that ARPA to complete this and get this project done and this well back on. And this will be everything from the pit to the meters to the pumps to the pipes to the control panels to the transformer. There won't be anything on this well that hasn't been completely redone. And basically it'll be like having a new well. So that's what we brought to you. That's the change in the quote for the work, the installs, and all of the equipment.
Questions for Mr. Barber?
Sounds like we need it.
I know it wasn't built in the 50s. I'll just comment that. Because I've been here since the 50s, and that well did not exist. I don't know what year they did build it, but it wasn't the 50s.
They suspect that they used panels that already had some age
I
on
started to
them.
say unless they moved, that was my next thing, unless they moved the panels from somewhere else. They could have used panels for all I know. But yes, if you're in the middle of it, you got to finish it. I'm just glad we have some money there to use. We got lucky again. Because we need it. The other night, it would have been nice to have it.
We could have kept a larger portion of the city online.
Yes, yes, very true.
Explain one more time the 7,500 difference in the 46,000.
So if you look on page, let's see, your 28 in your packet, that was the original thing passed in 2022 from HydroService. There was just one panel that was being updated with a cellular router, the fiberglass 30 by 36 NEMA enclosure, and then some of the components inside of it. So that came to $7,500. There's nothing that can be salvaged. There's electrical. So if you look at page 27, that's the revised to completely replace everything. And that's the $46,838. Now, there were some of the things on this list that the other company who's doing the water side were going to do. And if you look at page
they took, what,
29, I had them issue a letter to council that they're reducing their $120,000, which was approved, down to $110,000. So $10,000 of it is being saved. So I guess all in all, technically be an increase of about $36,000. But I just wanted to make sure we were transparent on the numbers.
Okay.
Gotcha.
This is Resolution 2024-36.
Okay, go ahead.
I make a motion that we approve Resolution 2024-36.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and second. Do we have any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item E is Resolution 2024-37, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, establishing authorization for the Williston City Council President to sign an agreement for project-specific professional consulting services for miscellaneous professional services for the Planning Department with Wright Pierce, Inc., and providing an effective date. Ms. Jones.
Thank you. We need some more money to put in this continuing service agreement for miscellaneous professional services for the Planning Department. We wanted to add $25,000. So the comp plan was budgeted for this year, and it's not going to be used this year, maybe part of it. So the entire comp plan will probably be billed in 2025, to be honest. So we have that money in our budget for this, and then we also have $14,000 left in the budget for contract services. It's not especially allotted to Wright Pierce, but we would like to. So the fiscal impacts all together will be $25,000. I think that we started this in October 22, so we've gone through about a year and a half with them on $25,000. There's a little bit left, but we wanted to get ahead of it. And this is for services such as Country Lane Estates, the new townhomes, T-Mobile, Wawa, Wendy's, anything that's brand new and needs engineering review instead of just us looking at a site plan, zoning, and our building official. That's what they're looking at for us.
And that ain't something that the builder themselves would just hire their own engineer and have their own engineer stamp that?
They do have their own engineer. Yes, yes, sir.
Everything was engineered that way.
It is engineered, but we review their engineering.
They may try to get something past us. Yeah. I guarantee it.
I think what we find more often than anything is that the engineers maybe aren't from here and they don't understand a lot of our stormwater, and sometimes they do try to cut corners on us. I mean, almost every time.
Yeah, I'll add something here also. So from what I've seen since I've been here, not having an expert on our side of the table would have been extremely detrimental to this city. And some of the things that were proposed in some of the current developments that Wright Pierce sat on and said, well, no, we're not going to put our signature on this, or no, we're going to write a letter for the city, and they state their claim. And they do a little bit of everything, but the planning is a large part. Today, we had Walt running around the city with us with the utilities department, which comes out of another separate thing where we were talking to homeowners and talking about issues with flooding, and the Wright Pierce is writing letters on our behalf to these developers from an engineering perspective, so they understand exactly what the problem is and how to correct it, so the citizens can get some relief from issues like flooding and stuff like that. That's on the utility side. On Laura's side is literally when, Ilianos comes in. It says, I want 3-phase power, and this is what I want it to look like, and we need to do this. And so we need to have our guy on our side of the table to look at their plans and say, yeah, that will work, or no, that simply will not work. And that's what they do for us in the planning department. They're involved in everything that y'all see on planning that comes before this council for approval when it comes to stuff. The townhomes, which we haven't even finished a developer's agreement at our level yet. Y'all haven't had a chance to even look at it. And there's been multiple times that we've had to have Wright Pierce to come in and help us with that process and write it in a way that it benefits the city and doesn't put us in a position where we will regret doing this later down the road.
And just financially, we do get paid for their applications, so the money does come in. It's not quite usually exactly enough, but we're working with Wright Pierce to redo our planning fees so that it's more of a wash. So the developers are paying for it, but they do pay some of it. It's not 100% free service.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my next thing I said was going to ask is there anything we can have in place to where they're paying for this service of our protection?
Yes. Yes, we're changing that soon. It's on the list. And then also in the developer's agreement for actual developments, they are paying for engineering review from now on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I might want to get that soon, moving soon. Get it going fast.
That would be great. And like Mr. Bullock said, sooner the better.
All right. So
hopefully this lasts another year and a half, and we don't have to up it again for that long.
And this
is resolution 2024-37.
I make a motion that we approve resolution 2024-37.
I second.
I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion from anyone? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Item F, resolution 2024-38, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Williston, Florida, authorizing the contracting with the True Force Roofing and repairs to the roof the existing airport terminal building, authorizing the City Council President and the City Manager to execute any documents necessary to facilitate same, and providing effective date. And this is Mr. Stiegel.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So, some of you may or may not know that the current airport terminal has quite a few issues with water intrusion into the building. With the help of the city utilities team, we were actually able to negate a lot of those issues. We used to have, the flower bed that was out front. It had a base of lime rock that was about 8 inches down that would just hold water, and from there it would seep into the foundation. With their help, we actually, dug the flower bed out, put a, waterproof membrane in there, and then put a whole bunch of gravel in there and dug the lime rock out to help it percolate a lot better. Since then, we haven't had issues with the flower bed. However, the design of the roof is a pretty terrible design. The gutter system is actually built into the roof, inside of the wall. So, and it's not one continuous piece of gutter. It's several 8 to 10 foot sections of gutter. And over the course of time, they've gotten to where they flex in really heavy rain. And a lot of the water comes from, big hanger onto that small roof, into that small gutter system. And it's just failing miserably. So we have a lot of water intrusion, a lot of water damage. As a result of that, we have filed a claim through Latricia, and Latricia's fought pretty hard, and we've got a decent amount of money back from our insurance company to do this. But we have True Force Roofing that's put together an idea or concept to basically dam off the existing gutter system to a point, and bring that or take that water somewhere else away from the current gutter system and fix a lot of the other issues. So on top of that, they're actually going to re-roof as well, or not re-roof, but put a waterproof layer on top of the roof as well.
I have some questions.
Sure, send it.
So why they gave a quote for $23,000?
Yes, sir.
What did that quote separate from Lake Perry that did a quote of $37,000?
Sure. So here's what we did, Mr. Cox. We took True Force they were the ones that came in lowest for the Monterey Boat project re-roof that we did. So naturally, being the lowest last time, we reached out to them, said, hey, we need a conceptual for this. We need a scope of work for a project to get rid of this gutter system because it's failing us miserably. True Force came out, they looked at it, they put together a scope on how to do this without using that gutter system that's in place. Basically, kind of channeling the water down into 2 pieces of gutter that are external of the wall, so that the water can't get into the building. And we took, since their bid was under $25,000, we took their scope of work, removed the prices, and sent it to 2 or 3 other companies and said, hey, would you guys like to bid this project? We had, True Force is right here right in Morriston. We had Paradigm Construction come out, take a look at it. They chose not to bid. Keeler Roofing, which is doing our new terminal building, they chose to bid, and this other one chose to bid as well. Honestly, I can't tell you how they make their pricing changes, but they all use the same scope of work.
Yeah, they're all the membrane.
Right. And that's what we did, is we took that image and the scope of work and said, hey, bid this out. And True Force, we already had their numbers, but we didn't show that to everybody else. And since it was below the threshold for a blind bid or a sealed bid, we talked that over with Kirsten. She said, yeah, it makes sense as long as you're not going above the $25,000 threshold.
So basically, they're just going to build up the 2 corners a couple of inches high to get a flow coming down towards the center where the blue lines are leading to.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they're going to pitch it a little bit. That's great.
They're going to do a build up on it, and then they burn down, or are they going to mop?
Well, so over the top of those berms, the whole roof is going to get another waterproof membrane. I think it's a TPO layer or something like that.
What it says.
and so it'll be, the roof is already a solid state roof. There's no screws in this roof, but they're going to put that membrane over top of it, so there's no leakage underneath the risers that are put in. And those two gutters in the center that are channeled, those are actually those go down into a French drain system that goes out and under the pavement as it stands. So in theory, it should keep all of the water out of the building. We've already talked to True Force about this, like, hey, we think there's a window specifically under this section that we believe the window is retaining water when it rains as well. And he told us, he's like, look, I can guarantee you it's a gutter system, and on that guarantee, if it is that window, I'll come back and I'll fix it. I was like, okay.
Well, I've seen wind blow water. You've probably seen it before too, up a 412 or 512 pitch metal roof. So there ain't gonna be no guarantee that it's gonna keep water from pushing in them corners with high wind, unless they're gonna do one heck of a big build up. But they are a gutter company. They're going to have the right amount of downspouts that can be able to handle the weight of that water that's coming in there. That's going to be a lot of weight of water coming into a little area.
So the intention is to remove all of the water from the hangar area that's currently coming down onto that roof. Remove that, transition it to somewhere else. And we've already got that with one of the sections or one of the downspouts that comes off the hangar. There are currently two sections of the hangar that feed onto our roof. So we're not only getting the water from our roof when it rains, but a lot of the water from the hangar as well.
Yeah.
So there's two more sections that they're already going to plan to pitch that
Grab
off
that
somewhere
and send
else
it
to
somewhere
remove
else.
that.
Yeah.
Correct. So by the time they get done with this, the only water that will be on this roof and coming into this gutter system will be the rain that affects this roof.
Rain from the roof.
Not from the hangar.
I like their warranty the best too.
I do too.
Yeah, there's 3 different warranties here, and theirs is the best.
Yeah, we're really happy with their service so far.
One of them was 1 year. I said, ain't no way I'm looking at that one.
Yeah, we're really happy with True Force so far, and we were really happy that they came in as the lowest bid. They're really good people. They're a veteran-owned company right here, local. So we'd much rather use them if we could. So it just kind of makes sense that they were the lowest bid as well.
Well, I know that flat roofs are tricky. And my concern is True Force is about a 2-year-old company.
Right.
What experience or what references do they have that said they've had success with flat roofs versus, you're looking at the other ones and they have some references and things in there for different ones that they did. I just want to make sure that we're not spending $23,000 on a wing and a prayer that this is going to solve it, where other companies have a lot more experience with dealing with that stuff.
I'm going to guess, this is just me, that they are a commercial contractor, roofing license, which means they've passed the test. This man probably knows as good as me that somebody can study and take it and not meet qualifications, but I could get up there and do that roof. I don't think they'd have a problem. That's just
and they probably worked for somebody else before they worked for themselves.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had to hit.
They had experience somewhere. I don't know them from Adam, but
to do it too. But
would be my guess.
And I mean, I definitely do hear what you're saying. I think that's a very good point. But
I don't always agree that the low price is the best.
Yeah,
I would absolutely agree with that.
I agree too.
But we haven't heard any complaints from Monterey Boats on the building that True Force just did for us. That was an entire re-roof.
But this is a different roof.
And like I said, the warranty is twice what everybody else's is.
Well, that warranty, if you get one drop, you just make sure you
call
keep doing it so that there's records of it.
Yeah.
Well, after the roof's replaced, we're going to replace every ceiling tile that got water damage on it. The next step is after we vacate this building, we move into the new terminal building. We're going to lease this office space out. So if there's water intrusion in this, we own that as well. So we need to know before we move out, because that would be something that, you know, we would have to tell our tenants, or even not even be able to lease the space out, because, you know, their equipment gets damaged, and then, you know, we're liable for all that equipment. We might as well have just kept it something, you know, an empty room. So no, you can't lease it.
So do you have
got
an
space. No.
Do you have an answer to his question?
Which question?
Or did you answer the question?
Which,
what Mr. Cox
what
asked?
experience do they have?
Yeah, is there anything that you guys have been able to, other than Monterey Boats?
That's the only project that
to gain
we have
experience?
worked with them with. You know, talking with their owners, they've been in roofing for a very long time. They recently moved to Florida and stood up True Force, which is why they're such a young company.
Okay.
But he and she have been doing it for a long time. But personally, I can't.
So the
speak to any
owners are not
references.
new to the business. The company itself is just new.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this is resolution 2024-38.
I'll make a motion to move forward resolution 2024
38.
38. My brain's leaving me.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
For the record, let it show that it is 4-1 with Mr. Cox voting no. All right. We're now to public participation again. Item number 6. At this time, if you have something you'd like to say, you have up to 5 minutes to make comment about anything at all, since we're through our agenda. You will come to the podium if you have something to say.
Once again, anyone on Ring Central wish to comment, unmute your mic and speak up now. Nothing heard.
Okay, then we'll move to item number 7, which is announcements. And I guess I'll start with staff first. Do you have any announcements you need to make? Ms. Latricia. Let's see Latricia first.
Just a reminder, Saturday, March the 23rd, the city of Williston, along with Premier Events, are having their Spring Fest here in Heritage Park from 10 until 3. So if you all aren't doing anything, please come out, enjoy the festivities.
Thank you. I saw Chief Rolls next. Oh, okay. So he is giving it over to Mr. Stiegel.
I'm not speaking for him. I just got something else. But the first week of April, we'll be hosting the NATA Formation Flying Clinic again. So if you hear an uptick in traffic that week, and you see a bunch of planes flying over in formation, we are not being invaded. They are training for the Sun and Fun formation flying.
All right.
Can you let me know on behalf of a really excited 12-year-old what hours of the day this and what days this will be taking place?
It'll be taking place, I believe April 4th is when it's going to start. And for about 4 days, it will be from daylight to daylight. They fly as long as they possibly can.
Okay, Chief Rolls.
Just a quick reminder, March 28th, we will have our Region 17 Chief meeting here at the Women's Club in Williston at 12 o'clock.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'm sorry, one more.
Oh, yeah.
Just a reminder, March 28th at 6 o'clock p.m., the Swanee River League of Cities quarterly meeting at the RV Crossing. If you have not RSVP'd, please send me an email if you're interested in going so I can get you on the list.
Okay, I did see Ms. Jones' hand.
Thank you. March 27th at 5:30, we'll have one of our last downtown visioning plan meetings. It'll be over in the community center. And then next week, all week, we won't have our code enforcement officer. He will be in school. So call me if you need anything. Or you can email him and he'll get it to me. So.
Perfect. All right. Any other staff member? All right. I will start with Ms. Hines. Have anything?
Nothing.
Nothing? Mr. Bullock?
I do. Ms. Latricia, this is a quick question. Do we have anything on the last Saturday of April planned that you can think of off the top of your head, or anybody? Because the basketball team that won the state championship, we were going to do something on the second Saturday of April and give them a parade into here and an announcement. They did realize that they pushed spring break back this year. So spring break is during that week. So they were concerned and said if we don't have anything the last Saturday of April, they would prefer to move it. But if we had an event, they wanted to keep it where we have it for the second Saturday of April.
What time?
From 10 is when we would do the parade, as long as we can get it lined up. I think they're going to ride on the fire chief's thing like they did last year, and be sure for straight down Main, I guess it is, straight across to here, and then get something worked up at the pavilion for them to give them an award. And then we're going to have bouncy house set up by, what's the name of it? Yep. So they're going to bring in 2 or 3 different type of bouncy houses. Huh? I don't know what she's saying, but okay, well. All right, well, we have it set up.
Not unless you have some insurance.
Anyway, and food trucks. And it's going to last from about 10 to 2 o'clock, I think we said. Somewhere right in that range.
So starting at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock is when the parade would start, leave the school, and head to here.
That is casino night at the Women's Club,
the
but it's in the
April or the
evening, so it
last?
should not interfere.
You're talking about the second Saturday or the last Saturday?
The last Saturday.
The last Saturday.
But it'll
is
be okay. It doesn't start till later. I mean, I got things to do, but.
As long as you don't have nothing else that anybody's got planned at the city, just let me know, and I'll let them know so we can. Okay.
Chief Rolls.
I have one more thing, I promise. The DEA Prescription Drug Take Back Day will be April 27th from 10 p.m. to 2 p.m.
10 to 2, and where do they bring them?
To the police department.
And any kind of drugs?
Any kind.
No questions asked?
I don't know about all that.
I am back again.
That's all right, just means we're busy.
Mr. Terry, do you want to fill in about the pickleball things that we were in discussion
I guess
on?
we can.
Yeah, I got that right here too, so y'all
if you
go.
wanna-
Want to beat me to it.
However y'all want to do it. I can tell you why you have not seen anything formally brought from the council, because one of the developers here in the community, Lennar, which is developed in Country Land Estates, has agreed verbally to do some work for us over at the tennis courts, in the sense of redoing one of the tennis courts and taking one of the other tennis courts. Mr. Bullock kind of said, hey, how about pickleball? You know, we did some research on it and made a request, so they're going to redo one of the tennis courts and pickleball, which I think is 4. Yeah, 4. And they've also they've said they're going to redo a playground. They're going to do no playground. Playground's gone.
No. So they do want to work on the tennis courts that are across the street from Country Lane Estates. They're going to. We brought Walt to our meeting, and Walt pointed out a couple things that maybe we may be flooding if we redid this the way they were asking. So we've asked for a survey from our local surveyor. So it's all been delayed a little bit. But they will be resurfacing it, and then we are going to come up with a master plan on what to do with the rest of the park.
All right. So I thought there was a playground there also, but
there is a small there are 2 or 3 pieces of equipment there.
But the reason why we haven't formally brought it in front of you, because there's nothing guaranteed in writing.
Okay. Well, what I had that I was going to bring up, my computer just went off, is that some of the residents at Country Lane Estates, of course, they obviously don't know anything about any of this. They approached me about redoing the tennis court, They say that, and I don't know if this is true or not, maybe Walt will know, that you can stripe a tennis court in two different colors. One would be the tennis court, and the other one is pickleball court. So you could actually do
Yeah, go ahead.
do both tennis courts.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, years ago, we put a rubberized surface with the grit on it that was sprayed on the surface and restriped the tennis court. That has probably been 20 years ago.
Yeah, so I attended a meeting on site with representatives of the city, Lennar, and they brought in a tennis court contractor, and they were going to come in within like a week or two, and then just kind of resurface, tear it up, lay down the asphalt base, but they had no plan. And there's elevations, and there's dirt that's higher than the court in some areas.
Right.
They're going to pitch the water one way or the other and change it, and so you can't just do that on a whim. On how, well, we build these all the time. Well, there was no details, so that's when we need a survey. They're going to have a survey done. They're going to lay it out, set elevations and grades, but the finished product is going to be a multicolored tennis court, pickleball court. They had a sketch of that, and I think that looked good, but the details, they were just going to wing it essentially during construction.
And evidently a net that goes up and down in place, because it's high for a tennis game, but it's low
Well, it's
for a
separate
pickleball.
courts. There's a tennis court, and then next to that, they're going to have separate pickleball areas that
See,
are striped.
these people were telling me you could do both on the same court.
Well, you're dedicated now. The plan that they brought in was one
you're losing
dedicated
a tennis court,
court, and then two pickleball courts. I think we have room for that there.
Can you fit 4 on the same one?
Okay, so they could do 4 with paint. I mean, it's all the same thing, right? So they could do 4 with paint, but what Lennar has brought to the table is 1 dedicated tennis and 2 dedicated pickleball. And then I think you can walk between them, or a walkway between them.
There's walkways.
But like we said, nothing's done because they basically brought us to a meeting and said, we're starting this tomorrow. And we're like, ah. So we still have to help them with the master plan. If you want 4 pickleball courts, I'm sure that's not an issue. We have to increase the size of the tennis courts anyway. So,
But we wanted to make sure we were seeing what we're getting, and they're changing grades. We need to make sure that the grades they're proposing are going to be correct. And so that did delay. Yeah, they were ready to start in a week, but with no plan.
So I can go back to these people that I'm talking to and just tell them it's in the works.
we are working on it, and the whole park is going to be redesigned at some point soon.
Yeah, new fencing, new lighting, new fencing, everything.
Yeah, the lighting's pretty bad.
How many tickle parks? How many tennis courts do you have out
There
there?
are 2 now.
Is it just 2 out there now?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And when they redo it, it'll only be 1 and then 2 pickleball. What?
I got to be honest, I've never seen a pickleball court,
I was
so
gonna
I
ask,
don't
what is a
understand.
pickleball?
But I believe that you can lay it on top of a tennis court.
So
I do too, but I hate to
Oh,
lose a
you can't.
tennis court.
yeah,
Right,
You're-
which is going to be my other.
the plan that was submitted back to us, or at least the ideal back to us, was according to Lennar, is that they'll maintain the 1 tennis court as a complete tennis court, and Lennar claims, and I've never played pickleball.
Okay.
Lennar
nobody
claims
knows
that
what
you
it
can
is.
put 4 pickleball courts in 1 full-size tennis court, according to the diagram.
Do we believe a pickleball court or 4 of them are going to be utilized
Yes.
as much as
Pickleball court, I can send you,
Okay, I don't know
I'll,
what it is.
I'll send you the email that I drafted to them with all the stats on pickleballs, but it is the fastest growing sport in America.
It's big.
Okay.
It would really
Okay.
be huge to the city. of
next-
As long as
Williston.
they're going to be getting use out of
Yeah.
it.
Oh yeah, there's
Next
a
to
lot.
cornhole.
We have
local residents Hey. Let's not all talk at once. Sorry.
Smack the other person in the head or 2.
Okay, so does anybody know if the high school has their own tennis courts? I don't think they do.
They do, but they haven't been. Yeah, they haven't been. I don't think they've been.
They haven't had a.
updated in a while, but they are in the corner.
They used to use
Softball.
ours a lot.
Softball team's using it. They've got a batting cage there.
Okay, well, the high school used to use both of our tennis courts a lot.
And
I
we
mean, they're
have,
in my neighborhood because I used to see them, especially at night.
yes, ma'am. We've had people from around town and outside of town asking when we're going to redo these tennis courts because they would like to bring some junior training and things here.
Well, I don't think we need to get rid of a tennis court.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. I think we need, if we can maintain 2 and lay a pickleball court over the top of it so that you could play either one and just make the lines different colors.
I'll look at. I don't know. I've honestly, like I said, I've never.
I mean,
seen
that's
a
what was
pickleball
brought
court.
to me. Not to do away
Is
with the tennis
4
court.
not enough pickleball courts, or
I would
about
think
tennis
so.
courts.
well, if we had 1 tennis court and 4 pickleball, is that what we want?
They want to maintain both.
You can make both of them pickleball courts and 2 tennis courts.
She's wanting to say keep it where there's 2 tennis courts, but 1 tennis court can be converted into a pickleball court,
Or
where it
both
can
of
be
them.
either
Or both,
or
if you
both,
want to.
where they can be either or.
I'm told that you can stripe them a different color as long as the net goes up and down. It's the net that makes the difference.
That wasn't proposed. That's not what Lennar came to the
Well,
table
maybe we
with.
could
So
propose
you could
it.
propose it
Because
to
I
them,
hate
right?
to lose a tennis court.
we can have that discussion.
Because usually more than 2 people come to play. Especially if it's a school.
Oh yeah, I know,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'll look into it.
I can at least look at it.
Because the high school courts are down by the softball field. There's two courts there.
I remember when they built them, but I didn't know if they were using them. Oh, you do think so? Okay. All right.
Looks a lot bigger than the one that's by our house.
Yeah, because then I know they brought in a batting
Okay.
cage and
I may not have a tennis team anymore.
yeah, that hadn't been used in some time.
Okay. The other thing I have is I want to know and Walt, you can stay. I want to know how we're doing with impact fees.
Okay, we've got a data request. The process is going in. We kind of gave a list of questions and information that we need from the city, and that's being worked on right now.
Okay.
So getting that information.
So try to get that in effect.
Yeah. So it's.
I mean, I know the engineering review will help some, but we desperately need those impact fees.
Yeah. So that work is in process.
Because that'll affect the new people that come in. They will be paying for their own services. Rather than affecting everybody else. And I can tell you that however many years ago it was, I think I voted no on impact fees. But I have definitely changed my mind with all this development. We definitely don't need to affect our residents anymore. The other thing that I'd like to ask and you may be into this too, Walt, I'm not sure, the utility department, I know we talked about the fact that we could not, or at least in my understanding, could not segregate the sections of town when it came to the water. So, because we didn't have the right kind of valves or something, have we considered that and what it would
So starting in the 2021-2022 budget, from then to last year to this year, we put in $10,000 that has rolled over in a sinking fund. We were waiting for it to reach right around 60,000, which we're 3 years away. And if council wants to escalate that, what that 60,000 does is it purchases a machine that goes on the back of a truck, and we have to install valves in strategic points. And you can take existing pipe and you can put in a Mueller valve and basically create sections now that you could isolate. Unfortunately, if we were to go out and hire those services, and that's why we were going for the machine, it's about $14,000 a pop. So if you have to put in 25, 35, 45 of these valves, the cost begins to get astronomical. So we were trying to get it to where we could actually afford to purchase the equipment. Saturday shows a great example of why it would have been nice to section off 1 or 2 streets.
Exactly.
But the system just wasn't designed for that. And so if we're going to get to that point, we would have to either pay per tap or invest in the equipment to do it.
I remember some discussion about the fact that if we bought the machine, we could actually use it in other cities and rent it out.
Well, that was the hope, wasn't just to, for it to pay off for us, but to also offer through mutual aid for other towns that have similar problems, and maybe even recoup the cost of the machine once we get it through those mutual aid agreements.
Right.
So it was kind of a twofold approach.
Exactly. And I just wondered, we're in the process of just saving money to purchase
Yes,
that.
ma'am, but this year we'll end up with about $30,000 in that fund. Again, if council wants to speed that up, we would, of course, never refuse more funds, so.
Well, I just hate to turn off the whole city when we could have turned off part of it.
Right.
And you can't unless you've got it properly
valved off.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
And y'all taught me that. It's the only reason I know that. The only thing else I have is to just say that on Thursday afternoon, I'm leaving to go to Amelia Island. I'll be there for a day and a half for the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust Board meeting. Got anything, Mr. Cox?
Nope.
Ms. Martin? Anything else? Anything else on that end? Anything else for the good of the cause? Who? Mr. Mayor, you got anything?
I do.
You should speak up. Oh, come on. Go for it.
Okay. I received a request. You know how much I like you. No? Let me tell you about it in private. I received a request from
Oh, I had that on my agenda still.
the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling Incorporated. I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Okay.
I had that next on the agenda. I mean, you got any announcements you want to make?
This was the announcement.
That's the only
that we
announcement you want to
discussed
make.
I was
Okay.
going to make.
All right. Go ahead.
You sure?
I was just going to announce that the mayor had a proclamation for compulsive gambling
Okay.
after you made your announcement.
They requested a proclamation about problem gambling. And March is Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And the proclamation that I'm making is as follows. Whereas problem gambling is a serious public health issue affecting 1 to 3% of the general adult population and often results in personal, financial, familial, legal, and other costs, including the high cost of suicide. Whereas it is estimated over 200,000 Florida adults of diverse age, race, ethnicity, and socio-economic status suffer from the past year gambling problems, and 800,000 more are at risk of developing such difficulties, constituting a 4.7% of the adult population ages 18 and over. Whereas it is important to further note that these statistics do not account for the youth who are increasingly and deceptively exposed to gambling concepts and are at an increased risk for developing gambling-related problems. And whereas it is also essential to recognize the problem, gambling as a societal issue with 8 to 10 additional people adversely impacted by every problem gambler, increasing the affected population by an estimated additional 1.5 million individuals, with conservative projected social costs accounting to more than $9 billion nationally each year. And whereas the problem gambling is notable, it is treatable for those who seek help, which minimizes the harms to Floridians and to the state as a whole. And whereas the problem gambling is treatable to those who seek help, I missed this. Whereas the Florida Council on Compulsive Gambling public awareness campaign provides an opportunity to educate the public, policymakers, educators, businesses, mental health and criminal justice professionals, and others about the potential adverse effects of gambling, and as well as the social, legal, financial, and emotional impacts and available supports. And whereas free referrals to problem gambling resources and supports, including to licensed certified treatment providers, self-help support groups, FCCG's online program for problem gamblers, and Peer Connect program, financial supporters, legal resources, and many more are readily available to all Floridians by simply calling or texting 888-ADMIT-IT. Whereas any individual, professional, or organization dedicated to assisting those in need can participate in raising awareness and preventing the problem gambling by promoting the statewide confidential multilingual toll-free number, Problem Gambling Helpline. And whereas the city of Williston can demonstrate its support in addressing the problem gamblings by raising public awareness through a declaration of proclamation of the month of March 2024 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month in the city of Williston. I, therefore, Charles Goodman, the mayor of the city of Williston, do hereby proclaim the month of March 2024 as Problem Gambling Awareness Month in the city of Williston. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Anything else for the good of the cause? If not, I'll entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. All opposed can go home. It is 8:40 p.m. Thank you very much. Yeah, that's it. All opposed can go home.